I literally think this room over here is haunted. I keep hearing stuff hit the ground. I've heard a door slam, and I'm freaking out. Literally, this is just our supply room. So, there's literally nothing in this room, and I'm just sitting here freaking out.
Honestly, I totally agree. I've worked in healthcare for a really long time. I've worked in nursing homes, hospice, hospitals, all kinds of stuff. And to be honest, I actually haven't had a lot of paranormal experiences, but I'll tell you, out of the handful that I've had, two of the creepiest ones were at this nursing home. So the one that I told was one creepy one that kind of happened right away when I started working there. After another couple of years of working there, I had another incident that was just crazy, and it's mind-boggling. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. But so the nursing home itself is shaped like a giant H. So like if you were looking down on it, it's like a giant capital H. So each side of the H is like a ward or a wing or a hallway or whatever. And then the connecting one in the middle is the one that connects the two, and then there's a nurse's station at each end. So the nurse's station at the end can actually look down both hallways. So anyway, and it was another night where somebody on night shift didn't come in. So I was staying until 3 a.m. and then somebody from day shift was coming in at 3 to relieve me. So I'm sitting there. I got all my duties done. I did whatever. So I was just kind of sitting there at that nurse's station looking down so I could see down both hallways in case a light was to go off and somebody needs something. And I had one resident that was there. He was a younger gentleman. He was probably only in his 60s. I don't even remember why he was there. But I know he had balance walking because he walked with a walker. But he was up, so he was out there. It was getting close to 3 a.m., so we were just bullshitting. And all of a sudden, he gets kind of wigged out about something. And he stands up and he starts, who's that? Who's that man down there at the end of the hallway? And I'm kind of looking down there going, hey, Gary, we'll call him Gary. Gary, there ain't nobody down there, buddy. And he's like, no. He was so convinced there was somebody down there that he actually got up, grabbed his walker, and walked down to the end of the hallway, came back and goes, yeah, I don't know where he went. He was down there, but now he's not. So as we sit there and like probably 2-3 minutes later, all of a sudden down that same hallway, I hear this woman, Maria, start yelling. And Maria only speaks Spanish, but you could tell she was upset. And so she was yelling, and I don't speak Spanish, but again, I knew she was upset. So I went down there, and I could hear her just, hombre, hombre, hombre. And I'm like, there's a dude in her room. That's what she thinks. I'm like, Maria, there's nobody in here. You're fine. And so she was very upset. And these people they're long-term residents. They've been there for we know them. I know them. This is very atypical or not typical behavior for them. And so I was trying to get her calmed down. And as I'm trying to get her calmed down, Harry, the guy across the hallway, directly across from her, starts yelling, get the hell out of my room. What are you doing here? Get out of here. So I'm like trying to get her settled. And I'm going over there, and Harry's half out of bed. He can't walk on his own. And he's dead certain that there is this man going through his stuff in his room. And I was just sitting like, what the hell is happening? This all happened like within a 5-10 minute period. Everyone's going crazy. Like, what the hell is going on? So I finally got everybody situated and calmed down, reassured everybody there's no random man going through anybody's stuff. And then went back up. It actually took me a while. So at the time, I did not connect all of these things together. I just thought, everybody's going crazy at this point. But it took me a minute to connect them all together. But when I did, I'm like, holy cow, was there like a ghost, like of a man or something down at the end of that hallway coming in and out of rooms? I had 3 residents within like a 5-minute time span all tell me they saw a random guy down there, and there was nobody else down there. So that was a freaky experience.
Okay, listen, so this happened yesterday, and I was debating whether I wanted to tell this story or not, because I know how the internet can be about religion, but hey, I'm a believer, so I'm gonna tell my story, okay? So I'm bathing my patient, and her brother keep making eye contact, and it's weird, and the vibe is just like really weird. And finally I say, hey, what's going on? Like, what's the deal? Like, and she said, well, my money didn't come this past month, so we've been struggling, and we don't have any food in the house, and I was just gonna ask you if you could go get us some bread and some sandwich meat or whatever, and I'm like, why would you not tell me that before now? She said, well, because you don't make a lot of money. I said, I know, you're right, I don't, but I'm not going to let nobody go hungry. Even if I got to put it on a credit card, I'm going to make sure you eat. So I tell her, let me get done with you and I'll go, to the dollar store and get what we need. So fast forward, I go to the dollar store. I get there. It's packed. There's people everywhere. The parking lot is full. But there's this man sitting on the side of the building, and I could tell he's a homeless man. And it's 104 degrees out. It's hot as heck. And he's sitting out there, and he's just sitting there, and he's sweating, and I already feel my heartstrings pulling. So I said, okay, I'm going to get him some drinks and something when I go in there. So I get him a couple Gatorades, a couple bottles of water, and then I come out and I hand it to him. But y'all, when this man look at me, he's got the bluest freaking eyes I have ever seen. I mean, almost like ice. They didn't even look real. And I just got this chill all over me. Well, I go to my car and I realize I got like a 5 and some 1s in there. So I get the 5s and the 1s. I go back to him and I say, it's not much, but it's the only cash I have. When his hand touched mine, there's like this shock that goes through me. Like, I'm serious. I can't even explain it. And it freaks me out. And he says, God bless you. And I said, thank you. I need it. He said, no, I mean it. He said, 100 people walked by me and not one person stopped, asked if I was thirsty, asked if I was hungry, anything. But when you got out of your car, there was a light about you that I knew that you were going to be the one to help me when you came out of that store. I started freaking out. I started crying. And he said, don't cry. He said, you got many blessings coming. He said, keep being the person that you are, and you will see a major blessing coming your way. So I want to tell anybody, anytime you feel that you need to do something, don't ignore that feeling. Do it. There's real angels walking among us, and I don't care what anybody say. And I feel that man was one of them.
On December 9th of 2023, a hospital surgeon is freaking out after seeing something that she couldn't believe. According to her, she was inside the operating room filming a video for her surgical students when she had to stop and leave immediately. As she states, something was watching her. Now, this video comes from a social account that doesn't post anything like this. All the videos on this page are purely educational and meant for students who want to become surgical technicians. But this video, however, was posted for anyone who could help explain this. Tiffany has no idea what was captured, but hopes that someone does. This is her footage. Watch.
At chromic catgut, the difference is, I'm so sorry, my brain. Okay, here we go, back. Okay. So here we have two different kinds of sutures, polypropylene monofilament and chromic catgut. The difference between these two is that this one is dissolvable and it's animal derived, and the sutures last anywhere from 60 to 90 days. Literally tearing up right now. I saw it. I saw it.
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it. Can you please just show yourself? Just give me a sign. Do whatever you want.
Okay, horror stories from home health care. Not using anybody's real name. This is just from my personal experience. Not everybody was like this. So, like, if you're thinking about doing home health, don't get scared because they're not all crazy. So, I had this woman. We're going to call her Ruth. She had dementia and sundowners. So, she was a little out there. When she was having one of her dementia fits, she was the sweetest lady ever. When she was not, and she was in her right mind, she was a awful person, okay? So, long story short, I was mopping her floors, and I had a steam mopper, and it was not working. So, I had it sitting on the ground, and I was looking up how to fix it. She comes in there and says, "What are you doing?" Said, "I'm trying to figure out how to fix your mop." And she's like, "Well, you're going to burn up my floors." I said, "Your mop's not working. I'm not going to burn up anything." Well, I started using a regular mop and bucket was just fine, whatever. I was looking for a bucket and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking for a bucket, Miss Ruth." She said, "Here, use this." It was a flower pot. A flower pot, okay? So I'm using this flower pot as this mop bucket. And she gets mad and like starts putting Dawn dish soap in the bucket. And I said, "You can't use that. It's going to make your floors really slick and you'll fall." She said, "Well, what do you want me to use then?" I said, "I don't know, man. I don't know." After that, she proceeded to not only tell me to drink her mop water when I was trying to pour it out. She said I was wasting it and that I needed to drink it. Then she pulls a knife on me and tried to stab me. And I was popping my fingers, and she hollered at me and told me to stop. After that, I just left, and I was like, "I'm not going back." Well, I ended up going back. She was like really nice. She was having one of her fits, dementia fits. She was talking to me about like saving money, this and that, putting my money in a savings account. And I said, "Well, I like to spend my money too much. I'm not going to save it." And she said, "Well, what are you going to do when you die?" I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to be dead." And she said, "Well, what about your money?" I said, "I'm not going to have any because I'm going to spend it." She said, "You need to donate it to charity." Part 2 coming soon.
Okay, stick with me on this story. I'm going to try to go a little fast. I have had many jobs in nursing. One of them has been a home health job. So I would go to people's homes. The company would give me an address and I would go to their home. I wouldn't know anything about the home, but usually it was a nice little old lady or something to that effect. And then they would usually feed me and it was sweet. Okay, this is the totally opposite scenario, like the worst case scenario you can ever imagine. So they give me this address. I go to this home. It is a 3-story home in a bad area of downtown Tacoma, Hilltop area. It has a fence around it. Everything is run down. It's in a bad area. I get sort of an odd vibe. Not really a horrible bad like leave now vibe, but just bad. There's a guy standing out in the yard. He says, "Are you looking for blankety blank?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, you've come to the right place. Come on inside." So I get my bag and I go on inside. Mind you, we are not supposed to tell anybody where we are. Only person that knows is the company. And this company was remote. It was in another state. So in order to get a hold of them, I have to call an 800 number and wait on hold for like 10 minutes. I walk inside this house. It's very dark inside, almost like nighttime. Very few lights. There are multiple men roaming around the house. I notice an ankle bracelet on one. I say nothing. The patient that I see sits down at a table across from me and casually says, "You're probably wondering why there's so many men in this house." Now, to count, there were 12. He says, "This is a halfway house for sex offenders." So me, 5'2", big boobs, triple D, I'm sitting in there by myself as the only female with 12 sex offenders in the house. He looks at me straight in the eyes and says, I have had 89 out of 90 felonies that were violent. Only one was not violent. I look at him back directly in the eyes and I said, "Cool." The situation was immediately diffused. I did his full assessment. Everything was fine. Literally no one else said one word to me. I left the house, called my significant other, and told him exactly where my work had sent me without telling me jack shit. Then I called my work and thanked them so much for putting me in that horrible situation in which I could have been.
Hey y'all, so let me tell you about the time that I worked at the nursing home, long-term care facility. I know y'all like, damn, she always going through some stuff with the long-term care facilities, but not to knock it because I actually loved it. But y'all, so there was this one time I was working day shift, and this nurse came in. She was a new grad, not knocking new grads, y'all. I used to be a new grad. So she came in and she was supposed to be in orientation still. So she got there at the same time I did, and she was gonna be working the other cart with the other nurse. But the other nurse wasn't there yet. So she counted the cart, y'all. She went ahead and started pulling her meds and everything. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, I said, are you gonna wait for so-and-so? And she was like, no, she told me to go ahead and get started and she'll be here soon. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm thinking that's what the lady told her. Y'all, this girl had no clue what she was doing. So maybe she got like 5 or 10 patients in. No, it was about 7. So yeah, she got about 7 patients in, and I get a call from one of the CNAs, and she's like, hey, please come down here to room 2, I make up a number, 202. So I take off running, and so she was like, she's like, yeah, the nurse was down there on the floor, and I was like, what's going on? She was like, something's wrong. I think I done passed out. And I was like, what you mean you think you done passed out? She was like, yeah, I feel so weak in the knees. And so she was in the patient's room on the floor. And so I'm like, what happened? And she's like, you take the patient out, or the resident. She's like, you take the resident out. I don't want them to hear what I got to say. And the resident, like, she was bedbound, y'all. She can't come up and get out of their bed or anything like that. So I'm like, what's going on? So she was like, I took the person in 205's meds. I was like, what you mean you took that med? She's like, I took their pain meds. I was like, why would you do that? She's like, because I ran out of mine and I needed some medicine to take. So I was trying not to like talk about her or anything, but I said, so what did you take? She said, they had Norco, and then the people in 201, and they had Tramadol, and then the people in, y'all, she took 3 people's meds within like the time. I don't know how long of a time span it was. It wasn't long though. And so I said, okay. So I helped her up off the floor. I took her back to the nurse's station. I helped her sit down. So I was like, I'll be right back. So I went and got my DON, and I was like, hey, I said, so-and-so, the nurse, I was like, she took some medicine, and so she's just not feeling well. And she's like, what kind of medicine did she take? I said, you have to ask her that. And so she's like, she did have surgery last week. So she's like, I wonder if she just, the meds are just not working for her. I was like, I said, just go ask her. And so she was like, is everything okay? I said, go ask her. Y'all,